it's this industry, like, you really flourish if you don't protect yourself.
You flourish if you don't protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like if you don't look after yourself, you could have a pretty big, amazing career. You've seen that kind of thing happen.
We've all seen that.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. How's the tour going so far?
It's amazing. I love tour. I know a lot of artists really struggle with liking it because it is very brutal emotionally and physically and mentally, but I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of my job. So, and we're on a bus. There is nothing more I could ask for.
You sleeping okay?
Yes, I'm sleeping so much. And I
Really?
have insomnia, so I'm sleeping so much.
Goes one or two ways, I find, with the bus.
I know.
You either can't sleep at all or you'll never sleep better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm very fortunate and I'm sleeping for like 8 hours for the first time.
I'm very jealous of you. I'm having a hard time sleeping these days.
Yeah.
So maybe I should get on the bus. Can you tell me the story? The story of the first record deal at 17, if you're comfortable doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just a YouTube girl. They found me on YouTube. And I wrote some songs at a summer camp and posted them on YouTube. And I got discovered and just kind of showcased / auditioned for Republic Records. And then I got a call from like Columbia and Capitol and Atlantic. And I went to showcase for Atlantic and I liked them, so I picked them. And I was signed to them for 5 years in a horrible record deal. But I didn't know any better because, I was a little kid. I was literally a minor. And because of how that journey was so tenacious, I learned so much, and that got me where I am today, how difficult that was.
Just backtrack a little bit. When you were uploading the songs on YouTube, was that under the guise of, hey, I'd like to be signed to a major label, hey, I'd like for music to be my career?
Well, I wanted to be an actress. I really thought I was going to be an actress. I was like in acting class. And I just was uploading it because people were telling me I had a good voice. So I just uploaded it and like made my own little EP. It was 4 songs. And I thought music was going to be a gateway into acting. I was like, this will get my foot in the door. That's what this whole thing was supposed to be. And it ended up being like my actual job.
It's such a unique experience. What is it like when you're 17? I like that you said I was a minor, like your brain's not even fully finished developing yet. Mm-mm. And you get all this attention and from these big major record labels.
Yeah, it's bizarre and should be illegal. I think it's very, very weird that these like people who know so much about the industry and like it feels very predatory. I did not think that was right. And it's not like my parents knew. My mom's a veterinarian. My dad's retired from the Navy. It's not like we knew anything about the show business in Willard, Missouri. I felt very isolated and very confused for many years because I didn't understand what was going on or the things I was feeling. Because not a lot of kids were going through what I was going through. I didn't have anyone in Missouri who was.
Did you leave home then? Is that when you moved to LA?
I moved to LA when I was 18 and then was back and forth until I was 20. And I finally moved for real when I was 20. And I've been living there for 5 years. But it was a very intense experience.
And last thing on it, we'll stop talking about the old deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, also, we don't have to talk about it at all. Mm-hmm. But for closure's sake, for conclusion's sake, so is it that you record the record and the record doesn't do as well as they were hoping? Like it's also they can cast you away so easily. Like what ended the relationship, if you're able to say?
Well, my relationship ended with my label, like a lot of artists ended their relationships in 2020. You just get dropped if you're not making money in 2020. Like, music industry crashed. It was, touring is how artists make their money. And it was 2020, I wasn't touring. And Pink Pony came out in April of 2020, the worst time for a club song to come out. To be honest, the label didn't even want to put it out. So it was already a very tense relationship. I got dropped because I just wasn't making money for them. Neither were most artists, unless you are massive. So many artists lost their jobs.
Was there a part of you after that that goes, I don't know if I'm going to make music anymore?
Yeah, I ran out of money and moved back home with my parents and was working the drive-through. And
that's
so
hard. That's hard.
Yeah, but that's like most people. Like most people like work like horrible jobs,
working at the drive-through is not hard. Mm-hmm. Getting signed to a record label, moving to LA, being promised this whole other life, and then having to move home sounds challenging to me.
Yeah, it was. It was. And I was just kind of like, I wonder if this is really for me. I just didn't have there was nothing guiding me. I didn't know what to do. I knew I liked how Pink Pony Club made me feel, but I didn't know how to access that feeling again because I wrote it when I was at a club, when I was around people, when I was having a great time. So I moved back to LA in October of 2020, and I said, I'm going to give it one more year. I'm going to give it one shot. If I don't like it by October 2021, I'll move back. But let me just try to give it a shot.
What lesson did you learn?
It's so cliche, but if you just don't stop, you make it eventually. I think for me, I was much closer than I thought I was. And I thought, oh my God, this is taking another 5 years. So it takes a decade though. It's true. It takes a decade to start making money at this job.
Yeah.
So I was much closer than I thought.
Did you learn something about like escaping other people's approval when it comes to a record label and sort of making music for yourself? I know that's a bit of a leading question, but that's often the story. Maybe I should be clear. That's often the story I hear. We left the label, we departed from the label, and then we were able to sort of access our own selves.
I always had access to my own self. But they just didn't like it. I don't know. They shot themselves in the foot. I mean,
look at you now.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I mean.
Yeah. Can we listen to some music? Let's listen to this.
Baby, I like flirting. I love it by my side. Could be a good girl, even if I tried. 'Cause after midnight, I'm feeling kind of freaky. Maybe it's the club lights. I kinda wanna kiss your girlfriend if you don't mind. I love a little drama. Let's start a bar fight. 'Cause everything good happens.
It's my guest, Chappell Roan, and After Midnight, off her new album, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess, which is also, I'm realizing, the hat you have on right now.
Yes, it's my merch.
That's your merch?
Yes.
Tell me about that song. I love that song.
I just wanted something fluffy. And a lot of that was inspired by, my dad always says, nothing good happens after midnight. Like my dad said that to me growing up. And I was like, that's crazy, because everything that I remember and was very life-changing happened after midnight, So that's what the song is called, After Midnight. It's inspired by my dad. But it's just bubblegum. It just felt good.
My understanding is is that song and is it Kaleidoscope?
Kaleidoscope?
Yeah. These are songs that people have referred to as part of your story in terms of accepting your own queerness on this record. Is that right?
I've never heard someone say that through Kaleidoscope or After Midnight. But they are definitely stepping stones into that. I think that a lot of people would say Naked in Manhattan or Red Wine Supernova are more so that is coming into oh, I think I'm queer and this is an experience that I'm experiencing for the first time. And
is that accurate that you what you were just saying to me, that you sort of discovered your own queerness through the making of this record or during the making of this record?
It was yes, it was 4 years in the making, and for 2 of those years I was dating a man.
Right.
But I wrote a lot of queer songs while I was dating them, him, even though I had never even kissed a girl. Nothing. A lot of it came from daydreams and fantasizing, and I found my queerness and like my identity through the imagery of the album. So with the music videos, the photos, the outfits and the makeup, and I realized I really connected with drag, and it kind of came with like the creative world. The music, yes, but like the world building is really what, kind of realized my queer identity.
That must be profound or meaningful to you personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was I feel very free. This project makes me feel very free.
Yeah. You said that thing about, I started to get into drag more and I started to like drag a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And I read this thing that someone who was a drag queen said to you that your name, like Chappell Roan's not your real name.
Mm-hmm.
They said Chappell Roan is kind of your, like you are kind of a drag queen in your own way and the way you present yourself. Can you tell that story?
London, yeah, I had a drag queen open for me in London named Crayola, and she was like, "Oh, you are a drag queen," and I was like, that was the first time I'd ever been told that.
What did they mean by that?
Because I was just getting ready and like my makeup wasn't done yet, and I was like, "Oh, I'm like you. I need to get my makeup and my clothes on and kind of transform them." And she was like, "Honey, you are a drag queen. You're not just getting makeup on, you're a drag queen." And I was like, oh my God. Like that was very altering. Like that, there was something that switched over the summer when I did that in June. And I really have taken that on as an identity. And it's been very freeing to be like, oh, Chappell Roan is my drag project. And I think that's also helped personally to separate it as a job and as like a project, and then there's me as Kaylee.
I think I understand what you mean. The Chappell Roan thing is getting so big that it can when something gets that big, it can kind of take over your entire life. So this is a useful way. Thinking of yourself as a drag queen is among other things, a useful way of framing it so that there's distance between this part of you that gets a lot of attention on the internet and from your fans, and then who you really are.
Yes. Yeah. It's still, I'm still trying to figure out the balance of it not consuming me, but I think it has been easier to kind of be like, this is me this is Chappell when I have this outfit on and this makeup and I talk like this and la la, and because it's a very exhausting character to play.
Yeah, and you strike me as someone, and I mean this as a compliment, you strike me as someone who's conscious of protecting themselves.
I would say so. I try my best to protect myself. It's this industry, like, you really flourish if you don't protect yourself.
You flourish if you don't protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like if you don't look after yourself, you could have a pretty big, amazing career. You've seen that kind of thing happen.
We've all seen that. We all see what happens if you don't protect yourself, and if you don't prioritize your health or mental health. You do really good.
Yeah, you have big records and perform at the Grammys.
You're massive on TikTok. You're massive on socials. Mm-hmm. You do super well.
So you're trying to negotiate, how do I achieve the goals I want to artistically and creatively, and in terms of like, I don't know, like however big you want to be, with making sure that you're all right.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, it's pop music. Like it is at the end of the day, just a job. And I don't plan on doing this forever. So I need to just have an identity outside of this and protect myself for when I'm, 20 years from now and I'm not just like burnt out on life,
That's great. I don't know if people who were making pop music in the 70s and 80s had that perspective. And I think they wish they had,
Maybe, yeah.
It must be validating to go through what you went through and to come out on the other side of it with, finally, getting all these really big numbers and having people like Elton John and Olivia Rodrigo talk about how influential and kind of groundbreaking your music is. That must be very validating, especially having gone through what you went through.
So it really validated that my gut is right. And I was like, I knew it. But it just feels I feel very honored to have someone like Elton John and Olivia as people who I really look up to, that I know went through such a difficult time to get where they are, to acknowledge me and say, you're doing a good job too. Like, I understand you.
What would you say to that 17-year-old now?
I think at the time what I was struggling with most was my bipolarity. I wasn't diagnosed yet.
Shit.
Yes.
That's hard.
Yeah, and when you're a teenager, things are already like so horrible and confusing, and all these new emotions that you've never really gotten past before, so you don't know if they'll last forever. And I feel like I would just tell her like that she is a good person and that she is enough and that she is a cool girl and that you can make your life about being a good person. Because I think that's what I just like, that's my inner, that is like my deepest fear, is like feeling like I am not a good person and I left this earth worse off than good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You left the world worse off with you having lived in it.
Yeah. So I think I would just tell her, like, you are a good person and you can do good things and you can actually inspire other people to do good things too. And I just thought when you're bipolar and severely depressed, there's so many lies that depression tells you. So,
Yeah.
but so many kids are depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would just tell her, one, that these feelings are temporary, and two, you're a good person.
I think you're a great songwriter. I think you made a great record.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's fun to talk to you.
Thanks, you too.